Welcome to Simply by Deal HQ. On this podcast, we engage thought leaders on topical issues around law and business in the most simplistic manner.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 10 of Simply by Deal HQ. On this episode, we would like to take a step back from the norm and discuss the story of Deal HQ Partners in celebration of our 4th year anniversary. Today, our lead advisor, Tosin Ajose, will be joining me in a conversation around the firm's journey, its visions, its values, milestones attained, and the challenges of running a boutique legal advisory law firm in sub-Saharan Africa. Welcome to this episode, Mrs. Ajose. So I'd like to jump right into the questions. Being a few years since Deal HQ started the firm, what did the firm look like at inception and what does it look like now?
Good morning, and thank you very much for the opportunity. It's very, very interesting to be sitting on this other side of the divide on Simply. Thank you so much. And to your question, what informed the formation of Deal HQ Partners 4 years ago? I would say it was quite accidental, but at the time I kind of started feeling that there was a lot that was changing in the legal services landscape, and that there were a lot of opportunities that were now going to level, the playing field for law firms. And I also felt like the needs and expectations of clients were changing. Clients were looking for relationships that were smarter, relationships that were more efficient, relationships that could be multi-potential. And therefore I thought that it seemed like a good time to bring a different kind of product or service offering to the market, where you form something that can morph into a lot of the things that the clients need their lawyers to be at the time. A lot of people need their lawyers to be listeners. A lot of people need their lawyers to be counselors, to be business coaches, to be confidants sometimes, to be advisors that are looking beyond their legal business. And that is where the story of Deal HQ started from. So we call ourselves a transaction advisory firm because we want to have multiple competencies. One, to be able to advise people around legal issues. 2, to be able to get into the mind and the shoes of every and any business owner and be able to understand from their perspective, what makes their business tick, how they can tick the boxes around, the business expectations and land. Like we always call ourselves, the firm that is positioned to bring the best of Africa to the rest of the world. So we have a regional view and at the same time a global view. We are always on top of the trends. We are always, looking for new body of knowledge, looking for how to support our clients and ensure that, they are able to compete favorably with every and any other business or counterparty that they might have across the world. So I think, by no mere feat, that's what has informed, the commencement of that journey, and that is what has kept us up to 4 years in the game.
So it's been a few years since you started, the firm. Going down memory lane, what did Deal HQ Partners look like at inception, and what does it look like now?
Well, that question is somewhat of a trigger, but it's interesting that you ask because we are so much different from where we started from or what we looked like when we started, and it's a testament to consistency. It's a testament to commitment. It's a testament to people and it's a testament to growth. So Deal HQ started in October 2018 in a co-working office somewhere in Lekki Phase 1, which is in southwestern Nigeria, precisely in Lagos State. We had a very tiny office space that had I think 4 tables and 4 chairs. It was myself, I think one other lawyer and an accountant that opened the shop on the first day that we worked, from the office. And I remember very vividly that office had, on the right side of the wall, a whiteboard, and we had a small telephone on my table, and that was what Deal HQ was. And we had this little signage on the door that says Deal HQ Partners. But even though we looked so, ordinary and so small in the beginning, we were so driven and so passionate. I remember those days we'll come into the office. We had 1 or 2 clients at the time that we had onboarded. We would every day roll up our sleeves, and we were learning and preparing for the big day and the big break that will come. In very few months following, we kept onboarding, new lawyers as we were growing. By December of 2018, I believe we had grown to about 4 or 5 lawyers at the time. And I think the magic for me was the commitment from the members of the team. And it still remains till today one of the very, very big strengths that has allowed us, to get to where we are today. So what does Deal HQ look like now? We have a purpose-built office complex in the same Lekki Phase 1 in Lagos, Nigeria. We have another office in the Federal Capital Territory, which is Abuja, and altogether the team has, grown significantly. And in terms of market recognition, I think that we continue to see ourselves as a team of extraordinary people that are trying to help people build extraordinary businesses. That's how we see ourselves now.
So Deal HQ has received a number of global awards and rankings, and you can also say the same for some of its lawyers and partners. How were you able to achieve this, just 1 year after inception?
So I'd say that it started out as faith. Like I said earlier, the magic that we brought to the market was the fact that we were such a young team of people that were unstoppable. We didn't see ourselves as unable to achieve anything. And I remember very clearly in the same 2018 when we started out, and I remember our first ranking submission was to IFLR. And, I think we had a good first year. Between the time that we started and the end of the year, we had done some very interesting transactions, many of which were for our few anchor clients at the time. And I was saying to the team that we're going to make a submission for the IFLR ranking, and it looked like, what is she saying? People don't even know of our existence. We're in the backside of somewhere in Lagos, and we were just trying to bring ourselves out to the market. As a matter of fact, we were barely known at the time, but we thought we had done some good work that was worth showing off to the market. And we took that step of faith, and we made that submission. And I wouldn't say that I was expecting that we would have been ranked at the time. It was a step of faith, but I think the world and the elements honored our faith, and we got ranked as a recognized firm, which is the lowest in the category of rankings that IFLR at the time, put out. But it spoke a lot of things to us at the time. 1, it validated our belief in ourselves. 2, it motivated the team, and it was a good announcement to this local market and the international market that, there is these people in the market that call themselves Deal HQ. And I think that was one of the biggest visibility points for us as a firm, where, people were getting to know, okay, so who are these guys and what are they doing? How do they, and from that point, it has been from one thing to the other. One of the things that I love the most about being a member of the Deal HQ team is that we're not ever counting accolades. Our focus is intently on serving the clients. And when these accolades come, we recognize them, we celebrate them, but we are not distracted by them. Our focus is consistently on serving the clients. And so moving on, and then we just keep, having the faith to put in these applications for the lawyers, for the firm, our different practice areas. And I think that has just been it. It's been a journey of faith and consistency and belief that, we're doing enough. And that's what has kept us, going till this time.
So far, you've spoken quite a lot about your team of lawyers, and I imagine that, starting any new practice, you would need to have the right sort of people around you. How were you able to inspire your team to buy into DHQ's visions?
Wow. I think the greatest blessing in running the firm has always been the people. I continue to emphasize, the people. But it's not always been an easy journey finding the right people. Neither has it been an easy journey keeping the right people and then expanding the team. As you would imagine, the firm is consistently expanding. And that brings with it a burden of always sourcing, good talent, and quality resources. And even more so difficult when you don't have much to sell to people. So, of traction or results, the only thing that you're selling to the team is a vision. And therefore, it must be so clear, vision must be so convincing to be able to, even though we don't have this to show or that to show, we will get there. We are focused on getting there. And in the early days, I remember one of the conversations I had with one of the lawyers was, we only have 3 clients. How are we going to survive? So you keep asking, they keep asking these questions. And, as a leader, you have a responsibility to always point people to the vision with clarity and find a way to make them believe that they are a part of that vision. They have a role to play in achieving that vision and that it is possible. And, we are grateful that every time we have staked our odds and, raised the bar, somehow we always get there and then we set the bar a little higher again and we start trying to do those things. So winning and getting results motivates teams and makes them also believe in themselves and realize that, look, these things are possible. So whether it is their personal wins, whether it is the firm's win, but just seeing that you are a member of a group and you can see traction, you can see growth, you can see results. I think that's one of the ways that we have been able to keep people motivated and been able to keep them on board. The other thing is we are very particular about the quality of the talent that we look for. So many times we're looking at attitude, we're looking at commitment, consistency, even beyond capacity. Capacity is good, but a lot of times character is more important. And those are some of the things that have helped us, to stay, grounded and to continue to, keep a team that is motivated.
This next question may be a hard one to answer. Starting any kind of new practice or business has challenges. What were the challenges that Deal HQ faced, from the onset up until now? And how have they been overcome?
Wow, we have a bucket load of them. I don't know whether you have enough time for us to discuss, the challenges that we've had, on the journey to becoming, which is what I call it. I think that one of the first ones was that the legal market can be quite hostile to new entrants, and we face that. Another thing is that because it's a professional services firm, a lot of talents would rather go to the firms that have been validated, that have some traction, some track record. And so finding talents to stay with you in the early days when you're still, budding was quite difficult. I remember many times we had to, make do with much younger lawyers and train them and allow them, to grow within the system, because it was difficult to find, more qualified lawyers agree to work with a startup law firm. That was a challenge. I think another thing that was a challenge was revenue. Many times we have big dreams, big expectations and all of that, and it was sometimes difficult to find the resources to keep going. But I'm thankful that, we're a firm that is very, very resourceful. And every time we get to those points, we just keep, doing what we can, doing the best with the resources that we have. And we've consistently been able to, look like we have much more than we do, from the view on the outside, because we are very resourceful with what we have, and consistently as an institution, we are looking at opportunities to block leakages and ensure that, we stay just at the appropriate size and that we stay efficient with the use of resources. I think another thing that is a challenge is the business environment, which also can be quite hostile. The general business environment can be quite hostile, especially to new businesses. A lot of times you'll find that people will not price your service based on the quality. Many times people think that you don't deserve a certain level of compensation just because you're a new entrant, and that those levels of compensation are reserved for people that have proven themselves. And that was one difficult battle that we had to fight, and consistently push people to say, when we give value, we expect to get value. I think another one is visibility, just trying to ensure that you are consistently there, people are seeing you. Sometimes for a small firm, balancing the drive for visibility and the drive to do quality legal service, or rather to provide quality legal service, can be daunting, because time is the biggest resource that you have in professional services, and it's not infinite. So the time that you spend doing some other things that enhances your visibility limits the time that you have for work. So just consistently trying to balance those things and putting ourselves out there and ensuring that people know of us, that we are in the right circles, and that we are growing our influence and mapping our presence regionally and even globally has been very important to us. But sometimes it comes at a heavy cost, either a cost in terms of resources or even the pressure on the people. So I think I'll just stop here, because like I said, there's so many of them. It's the same story with any kind of new venture, new business or startup. You will go through this teething period, and we're still on the journey, by the way. Not that not that we've overcome all the challenges. Every stage of a new venture comes with its own nuanced challenges. So every day, but we remain resolute and committed to keep working our way around the challenges and keep innovating and finding ways that we can get ahead of them.
You just spoke about Deal HQ's image. Now, the truth is, a lot of firms, operate in very similar practice areas, but at the same time, no two firms are exactly alike. So what is the culture of Deal HQ that makes it different from other firms?
I think that I would first of all say internally, we run a very open and friendly culture. We see ourselves as a team in that sense. There is no individuality in team. We completely try to dissuade any form of individuality. We are always promoting team, everyone bringing the values that they have to the table, and bringing that into a pot where we are best served, where everybody is bringing their best self to the table and supporting each other in the places where we fall short or where we don't have sufficient capacity. I think that that's one of our eminent culture. Integrity is very important to us as a firm and as a business, being who we say we are and staying true to our values whether when we are, in work mode or even off work mode. Those are important. We are also very particular about building intimate relationships with our clients. So we are always in our client's business. We are always there. It doesn't stop at the legal work. We try to understand, in very great detail the nature of the business that they are doing and bring every kind of value that we can to support and promote the objectives of our clients. That's very important to us. And then externally, I think it's important to us to be seen as a firm that is very passionate about new body of knowledge. We are always entering into greenfield, areas and looking for opportunities to work in new areas, work in new emerging practice areas, and build thought leadership, build knowledge, build capacity internally and even externally, in those areas. So those are some of the things that you will see as a standard Deal HQ lawyer. And then we intently ensure that apart from the fact that we have legal knowledge, business acumen is very, very important. And everybody in Deal HQ, we have a capacity development plan that ensures that everyone comes into the fold with a level of business acumen. You can think like a business owner. You can rationalize like a business owner. And we are also very, very, it's very important to us that we are seen as lawyers that enable businesses. There are some people that believe that lawyers kill businesses, they kill opportunities, they make it more difficult for people who are venturing to be able to find common ground. We don't want to be those kind of lawyers. It's very important to us that we are seen as business enablers, as people that will come into a room and ensure that all the naughty areas are dealt with, that there is opportunity for people to make compromises, within the ambit of the law, of course, and ensure that, the objectives are met and that businesses and transactions can happen without the legal team or the law being an impediment or impairing the capacity for people to actually, realize their venture objectives.
Moving the conversation now towards clients. Who will you say is Deal HQ's ideal client? And how has the firm been able to expand its clientele over the years?
An ideal Deal HQ client is a client that appreciates value, is a client that appreciates knowledge, expertise, integrity, experience, and intimacy with their advisory team, is a client that brings us into the different facets and aspects of their business, is a client that wants to be served in a way that they can go to bed assured that their deal will go through and that someone is looking at all the potential risks along the transactional value chain and is proactive enough to point, issues out, and not just point issues out, but also help navigate around, resolution.
This is year 4. Where do we expect to see Deal HQ Partners in another 6 years?
So in another 6 years, Deal HQ Partners will be 10 years. The first thing we expect is that we will have a solid team of advisors on ground, and many of them would have become leaders in their respective, areas of practice, and that collectively we will be the team that is renowned for delivering the most complex transactions across the African continent, and that we will be, one of the leading voices in legal services in Africa. We expect that by year 10, we would have significant presence in many other countries apart from Africa, and that apart from Nigeria, I beg your pardon, and that in the countries where we don't have presence, we would have, relationships that allow us to provide services, in those areas. I expect that many of our lawyers will be ranked as best in their practices globally. I expect that we would be one of the best, if not the best, in terms of global leadership in specific practice areas. I expect that we would have grown in influence, would have grown in capacity, We would have grown in transaction footprints. I beg your pardon. We would have grown in transaction footprints, and that we would be getting global recognitions and accolades. It will become, a much more regular thing for the firm and even for the lawyers there. That's where I see the firm in 10 years. And of course, there would have been one or two offshoots of this business that is also, providing collaborative services within the same, area as the current business that the firm runs. That's where I see Deal HQ in 10 years.
Thank you very much, Tosin, for joining us today. We would like to say a very big thank you to our listeners for continuing to tune in. We hope you found this special episode to be interesting and informative. As always, the conversation continues on our social media handles. Do remember to send us your comments and thoughts on today's episode.
Thank you for listening. This podcast is brought to you by Deal HQ Partners. To find out more about our services, visit www.dealhqpartners.com. See you on the next episode.